Apologies for the lateness of today's show. We got hit by some big winds here in Maine, and I haven't had power all morning. So I've been running around to various coffee shops and whatnot looking for free outlets. But most of the town is out of power, so there's a lot of coffee shop dwellers looking to do the same. So ended up being a little bit late this morning. Sorry for that. Sign up for the Marijuana Today Daily Headlines email newsletter, which goes out at the same time this podcast is published every day with just the 10 stories we cover here on the show. It's a much more curated version of our popular newsfeed email, which blasts out every morning at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard with all 50 or so relevant industry headlines. To get the Marijuana Today Daily Headlines email delivered to your email inbox every Monday through Friday morning, just open up mjtodaydaily.com/headlines, which is also where you will find our long list of archived episodes. One more time, that's mjtodaydaily.com/headlines to get just the top 10 headlines of the day. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Monday, October 30th, 2017, and you're tuned in to episode 362 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story of the day is the big news that Constellation Brands, a corporate behemoth with a market cap north of $40 billion, with brands like Corona Beer, Charles Smith Wines, and Casa Noble Tequila, is scooping up just under 10% of Canadian marijuana conglomerate Canopy Growth for around $190 million US, or 245 million Canadian. Under the terms of the deal, which was first reported on by the Wall Street Journal, Constellation has the option of increasing their stake in Canopy at a later time to 20%. Constellation said they were making the move to position themselves to take advantage of ever-progressive cannabis laws in the U.S. and carve out a space in marijuana-infused drinks. Open up new cannabis ventures for all the latest numbers on this one. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com and on our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. Tom Angel over at Marijuana Moment picks up his first of a rare 3-headline run today here on the show, with his story outlining an exchange between U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions and U.S. Senator Patrick Leahy of Vermont over the issue of opioids and medical marijuana. Senator Leahy just released a copy of written questions he submitted to the U.S. Attorney General asking for clarification on Sessions' regressive views on medical marijuana, namely the statement he made back in March that cannabis was only, quote, slightly less awful, unquote, than heroin, despite the fact that heroin and opioids actually kill hundreds of Americans a day, and cannabis does not, nor has it ever. Senator Leahy also brought up a recently released study showing that overdose deaths fell in states with legal medical marijuana. As with most of Tom's pieces, this is a good one to open up for the full read. Our final top story of the day might just be actually the most important story I've ever covered, at least in terms of its potential to create lasting positive societal change in the realm of marijuana legalization. And I'm only half joking. That's the story picked up by Christopher Ingraham over at the Washington Post about a new study out of Stanford that suggests that people who consume marijuana on a regular basis have more sex than those that don't, with the greatest jump in sexy time frequency coming to those who consume daily. The data was gleaned from 28,000 female and 23,000 male respondents to a study conducted by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, and found that women who use cannabis daily have sex with a male partner an average of 7.1 times per month, whereas their abstaining women peers were only getting laid around 6 times per month. The gap between daily consumers and abstainers was even larger among men, with marijuana fans getting lucky 6.9 times a month compared to just 5.6 times for those who chose not to partake. As you might expect, this story and headline is bouncing all around the news sphere right now, and if I know my human nature, could actually swing a lot of cannabis naysayers into our camp. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Extractioneering, makers of the finest of legal cannabis extracts and concentrates. Led by a biochemist PhD with as many years in professional laboratory settings as he does in cannabis cultivation and processing facilities, Extractioneering's golden honeys, sugars, and crumbles will win you over on first sight. But don't take my word for it. Swing over to extractioneering.com to see the results of their scientific magic touch yourself. That's extractioneering.com, which is spelled like engineering, but with the word extraction. Extractioneering.com. All right, time for the Blitz. With the second of his 3 headline trifecta, Tom Angel over at Marijuana Moment picks up on the story of one of marijuana's favorite senators, Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey, who in a recent podcast interview with Slate's Mike Pesca fiercely pushed back on the stereotype of marijuana users as lazy stoners. After Mr. Pesca said that it would be, quote, a big ask, unquote, to politically motivate cannabis consumers, the good senator from New Jersey said, quote, I know in casual conversation in the Congress, many legislatures who've done pot themselves. This pejorative pot smoker label doesn't fly. So many Americans have used marijuana or have no judgment for people that do. It's like saying, oh, those alcohol drinkers. We're a great society, a decent society, a good society, but our criminal justice laws do not reflect the heart of America, and we all have got to do something about that, unquote. Swing over to Tom's piece to read the rest of the senator's cannabis commentary. Michigan-based marijuana activist Rick Thompson has an interesting article over at Weed News about the process his state's Leona Township is using to hand out marijuana business licenses under the new system set to roll out statewide next year. For some reason, the township is only allowing 10 applications to be submitted for the 6 dispensary licenses that it will issue, with those first 10 spots open as a first-come, first-served situation. This has driven prospective applicants to start camping out in line outside the township's office to secure their spot on November 1st, when the application window opens. According to a story from Green Market Reports, Halloween is the 3rd top performing holiday for legal cannabis sales, landing behind leader April 20th, of course, and the day before Thanksgiving, which some have dubbed Green Wednesday. Open up Green Market Report's story on this one for the full rundown, as well as numbers from BDS Analytics showing the year-over-year growth in the holiday season's sales. Last week, President Donald Trump, who is having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day today as his former campaign manager was arrested for a raft of shady deeds, distracted the world for a bit from his ever-growing pile of criminal deeds with some shallow non-action on opioids, embarrassing himself with a call to solve the very real health crisis with advertising. Specifically, quote, really tough, really big, really great advertising, unquote. The Associated Press did some good footwork in fact-checking the facile notion that any kind of advertising can be used to reduce opioid abuse and overdoses. Last week, a representative from testing company Steep Hills, Hawaii, testified before a medical marijuana legislative oversight group and said that while cannabis from licensed dispensaries had tested clean, the same couldn't be said for samples from homegrown cultivators, where 75% of those tested were found to be tainted with molds, pesticides, or other harmful contaminants. Oregon's Governor Kate Brown just announced the appointment of a new member of the Oregon Liquor Control Commission, with Matt Malatis set to take over the seat being vacated by restaurant owner Bob Rice. Willamette Weekly is reporting that Mr. Malatis comes from a family with experience in alcohol distribution and has been involved in developing marijuana cultivation projects. He will be the first member of the OLCC with any kind of cannabis industry ties. With his third and final headline of the day, Mr. Tom Angel over at Marijuana Moment has the story of efforts in Texas to decriminalize the possession of marijuana. Last week, Republican Texas State House Speaker Joe Strauss directed the Legislative Committee on Criminal Jurisprudence to study the question of marijuana decriminalization. After Tom followed up asking for clarification from Committee Chair Joe Moody, Mr. Moody tweeted that his committee would develop recommendations for marijuana decriminalization for the Texas legislature at large for the 2019 legislative session, and that, quote, the discussion gets amplified, unquote. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Extractioneering, and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.